All right, man, peace. So, brothers, this segment right here that we're going to go over could be applicable to many series that I've created over the last couple of years. Are you in a toxic relationship? Paternity tests should be mandatory, etc. But the series that I'm going to file this segment under is going to be You Get What You Deserve. Because as I constantly try to convey to you brothers who choose to listen to my channel, is that the only real empowerment is self-empowerment. And that's through a self-realization that dysfunction is not normal. You're not supposed to accept verbal denigration or disrespect, not from other people, and most importantly, not from ourselves. A lot of times our self-talk is negative. Because our self-talk is so negative, we tolerate negative talk from other people. We allow people to diminish or demean us or denigrate us because we believe that it's acceptable. A part of male programming, not just the so-called black man, but men period, a part of male programming is to keep that stiff upper lip and just take things, no matter the affliction, no matter the level of adversity that we're going through, just deal with it, as opposed to trying to find the smarter avenue that is going to bolster our self-esteem and our self-respect. So many men today, especially so-called black men, are just happy to have a female who will deal with them. And that's why you'll see these females, when they get to a certain level within a relationship, especially when they're beyond infatuation, they might try to imply or intimate that you're fortunate to be with them. And that's because in this society, they're taught that they're the prize, as opposed to what they are, which is a helpmeet. The woman is far more replaceable than an intelligent man is. When you hear these women complaining about men, they're actually complaining about males. They're complaining about the males that they're drawn to because those males are not an offense to them. They're not a threat to them intellectually. It's very difficult for the woman to supplicate herself to a man who is more intelligent than them. They start to feel like they're less than, and they don't want to feel that way. So they subconsciously search out lower level males so that they can feel a higher level of being in the relationship. Because what a high level man is going to do is make demands of his woman, because he's going to make demands of himself. And as we all know, one of the key components of any relationship, not just with the woman, but anybody, is reciprocity. Whatever you want back, you have to be willing to give. But just to get back to the point of this segment right here, we're going to see the level of disrespect that the defendant has put up with over the course of his time period with this female here. And even Mathis is going to pick up on it to the degree that he's going to become disgusted. So, of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Plaintiff Quasha Palmer has a child with the defendant. She claims he physically abused her when she was pregnant. Quasha petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove to the defendant that he is her child's father. And she's suing him for car repairs. Defendant Charles Coleman says Quasha is a violent drunk. And once, when they were arguing, she broke his finger. Charles claims whenever they argue, Quasha tells him he is not their daughter's father.
That's a form of mental abuse. Brothers, you always have to be very vigilant with mental abuse from the woman. Once again, the most pivotal time period during your relationship with your lady or your woman or your female, whatever you're with, is when the transition comes from the infatuation phase to the nitpicking phase. Because that's going to determine how long lasting your relationship is. How severe is her nitpicking? Because the woman by nature likes to be entertained. And she starts to try to entertain herself by attempting to figure out what it is about you that she can utilize against you down the line. So you have to be very watchful of those things. That's why you always have to be on your P's and Q's as a man. And that's also why I'm starting the series later on about how corporate America is not for the so-called black man. Because what it does is it trains you to take orders as opposed to give them. The so-called black man is supposed to be giving orders, but in order to give orders, you have to have power. All life is about is power. That's it. All the rest of these talking points that people try to seduce you with is nothing but nonsense. All life is about is power. Period. That's all people respect. That's all they've ever respected. That's all they're ever going to respect. So the reason why the so-called black man gets little to no respect in his household is because he does not have power. The so-called black man's mind has not been trained to accrue power. That's when you create options for yourself. When you create options for yourself, people are forced to respect you because they see that you have the ability to understand who you're supposed to be. Just getting back to this person right here, he's tolerated way too much, but a lot of it's because he himself has issues with substances, whether it be alcohol or drugs or what have you. A lot of it's going to be revealed over the course of this case. But we have to be more sharp-minded. That's why they're constantly trying to push and promote smoking weed and all these other things. And cats get upset with me when I make videos against smoking weed. They want the so-called black man to remain foggy-headed.
And he's countersuing for harassment.
Start with you.
Charles is my daughter father. I feel like I ain't never been respected. We always got into physical fights.
How long you all been together?
Since 2016 to 19 of, I say...
16 to 2019?
Yeah.
Let me say this very quickly. She said that she feels like she's never been respected. It's highly possible that maybe he's the source of contention in a relationship. Who knows what's going on? But I'm a so-called black man, so I speak from the perspective of so-called black men. If you feel like you're not ready to be in a relationship with a woman, don't initiate one. Because when you initiate relationships with these females, once again, the liberal woman looks at life like she's in an amusement park. And every new experience, especially with men, is like getting on a new ride. Eventually, she's going to start to get bored with the ride. In her mind, it's the ride's fault, not her fault for getting bored. So she's speaking from her perspective, but who knows? Maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe he has not been respecting her. Who knows? But at the end of the day, the so-called black man, we have to demand respect from others. And the only way that we can get that respect is by respecting ourselves. Now, we have to improve our self-talk. Meaning what? We have to look in the mirror and understand what we're capable of doing, which are great things if your mind is in the right place, as opposed to always talking yourself down and feeling like you're not good enough. That's why you start to deal with not good enough women. And not good enough women, they have very low self-esteem. So now it's two people with low self-esteem. That's going to lead to problems in a relationship. And it's going to lead to relationships that string out longer than they should.
And
This year.
how often would you all get in physical fights?
It was every few months
Okay.
on down the line.
Police ever come often or at all?
And like he punched me in my stomach one time when I was pregnant with his child.
The police come?
After I left his brother's house, I had made a report when I got to my sister's.
Did they follow up?
They didn't follow up because they understood that you were at fault. That's why.
Did they come and take a report, or they took
They
your
took a report, but
never followed
yeah,
up? Has he ever been arrested in jail for domestic violence?
no.
Okay.
Because once again, it's very clear that when they performed even rudimentary investigations, they found that you were the one who initiated the confrontation. And that happens a lot with these females. They initiate shit. And then when the man lashes back, they want to run and call the white man's police force.
They never
How many
followed
times
up.
have you filed?
I only have filed once because like
Okay.
every time we would get into it, we would never speak to each other for like a couple of months. And then
That makeup breakup dynamic, brothers, I say this all the time. When the woman starts to talk about breaking up and going on break, the only reason why she's doing that is to try to break you down mentally or to check what her options are. But she does not respect you. As soon as the woman comes with that, cut her off permanently. Goodbye.
we'd get back cool
Okay.
and everything would be all right.
Okay.
Then everything just repeat.
Okay. How old is your child?
She's 2.
Okay. All right. So you want to give me some background?
Well, this is my daughter's mother. We have gotten into physical altercations before, but it's due to her. We drink. It'd be because of the liquor, drinking, and too much consumption. And
You come across as being a much, much bigger drinker than her.
Among other things.
yeah, I mean,
All right. So if drinking causes it,
drinking causes a problem.
There you go.
She does
Okay.
get violent, and she does get confrontational when she is drunk.
okay.
Once a woman becomes violent just because she takes a substance, that's another red flag. You're supposed to have left her. I'm sure that she showed her violent side before you impregnated her. Once again, a lot of cats become addicted to the fake nice side of the woman that she only shows strategically. Your woman is supposed to be good to you at all times. But unfortunately, we conform to this nice energy vibe that, a lot of cats are trying to return the relationship back to the infatuation phase. Once the woman is no longer infatuated, you have to allow her to go depending on her conduct towards you. But the domestic violence stuff is a complete no-no. Because you have to understand, even if you defend yourself, if you inflict more damage or more harm on the woman than she does on you and you get locked up, that's on you. That's on your report. Now you're going to have beef with other inmates because a lot of these dudes, as soon as they see any type of assault on a woman or a child, now you're branded as a chomo. Now you have to protect yourself based on the presumption that you were preying on a woman. So that's why you have to nip shit in the bud very early. And a lot of these females, they understand the grace that they have in this society, the preference that they have in this society, and they try to abuse it. But just getting back to what I stated earlier, many times the woman will try to utilize mentally abusive techniques like breaking up, or as we're going to see later on in this segment, claiming that the child that they bore together is not his. Any sign of mental abuse, another huge red flag. You have to be able to communicate with people on a civil level, at the very least on a civil level. And many of these liberal females, they're not civil. And a lot of men today don't respect themselves enough to demand civility.
And then one incident, she broke my finger. We was in Detroit.
What?
We was into it down there. That's where one of the fights came from. We was on the way home to my sister's house down there, and she ended up
Where at in Detroit?
I was on 7 Mile in Van Dyke. My sister stayed on Stoddard. We going across 7 Mile. She stayed on Stoddard, and I was driving. She ended up the light was red, so I was braking. She threw the car in park, and it jerked us while we,
That happened?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
I'm trying to get away from him.
Yeah. Then she was trying to start tussling over the keys or whatever. So I was trying to hold her back while I was doing that. She ended up breaking my finger.
Once again, brothers, you can never allow, not even going into physical abuse or domestic violence, but even the verbal and mental abuse, you cannot allow that to become normalized. Because people are a lot like dogs. When your dog sees that you're going to allow him or her to do certain things, they're going to keep doing it. If the woman sees that she can mentally abuse you, especially with that breakup, makeup shit, or getting loud and belligerent, so on and so forth, and you're okay with that, remember, the woman is always looking for entertainment within the relationship. And that's a major form of entertainment for them, the arguing and the fighting. It's not your job to be expending and expelling useful energy in a wasteful way. We have a finite amount of energy in our life. And all the energy that you're spending and all the vibes that you're spending trying to go back and forth with a woman and bring her back to a place of placidity and all those other things, you could be spending creating something that could change your life or change the world, man. So many dudes are wasting away trying to maintain toxic rapport. You can't do that, man.
Every time she gets mad or anything like that, she tried to throw my daughter in it, try to use my daughter against me.
How?
She would say stuff like, Maury ain't yours, or...
Is that true?
No.
I got evidence of that.
Where?
Right here.
Let's see it.
That's another trait of the liberal woman, pathological liar.
We about to kill her case real quick. If what you say you have in writing, her case will pretty much be over. She was very quick to say no on that. And then, ma'am, you don't try to get away when you're grabbing keys. You throw it in park and then you get out the door. You keep going.
I mean, he the reason why we got into it.
Right, but the point that Judge Mathis is trying to make is that if you quote-unquote fear for your life, at least presumably, and you were just trying to get out the car, once you throw the car in park, you just get the hell up out the car. The reason why you were trying to grab his keys is because you did not want him to have the ability to drive off. You wanted him to get stuck right there at the intersection, hoping that the cops would come along and give him a ticket and all these other things. In other words, you were trying to be a huge agent of chaos in his life, and he tolerated it. Brother, stop tolerating agents of chaos in your life. Stop blaming other people for what you've been tolerating in your life.
It's going by what you told me, ma'am. You told me that the reason you broke his finger in the car, or the reason you slapped. Let me finish.
I'm sorry.
See how he checked the broad real quick? You know why he could do that? Because he has power. All life is about is power.
Told me the reason you put it in park because you wanted to get away. And you wanted to get away by putting it in park while running and then grabbing the keys. That's the only person wanted to get away to me. Morris is not yours. Take her off your page. Oh, and I got the bread to take your last name off her. Doing that in the morning. Bye now.
Another major attempt at mental abuse by the liberal black female, and most liberal females, period, no matter the race, they're trying to utilize that technique right now. That's why I state paternity tests should be mandatory. If he'd taken a paternity test when the child was first born, she would not be able to utilize that tactic against him. So that's how we try to controvert a lot of these issues that are so pervasive in the so-called black community. We have to nip certain things in the bud, brothers. Bottom line.
Let's get the DNA test.
Let's get the DNA test. Because I don't believe a word this bitch talking about now.
All right, let's check on this harassment, because I'm inclined to believe what you're saying now.
She had her.
This is significant harassment to keep throwing into question the birth of your child. Now she's saying even take your name off. Yeah, that would cause anyone emotional distress. Any man. You believe the child is yours?
I do.
All right. Your counterclaim for $2,000 is granted. All the anguish and emotional distress I'm sure you suffer every time she tells you that. You're winning a judgment for $2,000 for harassment, for causing this emotional distress, and the child is yours. Good luck to you. Your claim is dismissed.
Now he got to be stuck with this broad for how many more years, because she gonna start taking him back and forth to court now, definitely, most likely for child support fees and stuff like that. So once again, brothers, be very aware of who you're trying to couple up with. Cats lose their minds over these broads, man. They really do. Women are beautiful, they're wonderful when they're in their right mind. But at the end of the day, they do have to be shepherded. A lot of people might not like me saying that. It is what it is. The woman was created to be a helpmeet. So we have to have the wisdom to guide them properly. Because if not, they're going to be huge agents of chaos. When the woman is left to her own devices, it's like a damn gremlin. Causing confusion and drama wherever the hell they go.
I'm just trying to move forward from this. I really didn't even want to come here. I'm just trying to move forward with this.
Yeah, because you're done with the broad, but she's not done with you.
Just came here to get the money worth for my car that he had totaled.
Bullshit. You came there to see him again, and you're going to try to get the relationship back on and popping, most likely because you can't get another man. Once again, if the woman, if she had been able to get another man, he probably wouldn't even be in court. Who the hell knows? Or he'd be in court, and it would be her as the plaintiff and the man sitting there with her, and she'd be there on a whole other vibe. But it is what it is. Once again, brothers, you get what you deserve. Peace.